Your smartphone, laptop, and electric car, the symbols of modern life, hide a grim truth. The blood minerals powering these devices are mined under brutal conditions in places like the Democratic Republic of Congo. This is a story of child labor, environmental destruction, and human suffering, revealing the hidden cost of our insatiable demand for technology. The global tech industry thrives on the demand for minerals like cobalt, coltan, columbite tantalite, tin, tungsten, and gold. These minerals are indispensable to modern technology, forming the backbone of our rechargeable batteries, processors, and electronic circuits. Whether it's the lithium-ion battery in your smartphone or the capacitors in your laptop, these materials power our lives and drive innovation in the 21st century. Among these, cobalt stands out as the most critical in today's tech and renewable energy sectors. It's essential for the stability, efficiency, and energy density of rechargeable batteries, particularly for electric vehicles. However, this indispensable mineral, and many others, comes at an appalling human and environmental cost, especially for the people of the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. The DRC is home to over 50% of the world's cobalt reserves and produces nearly 70% of the global supply. Its land is also rich in coltan, gold, tin, and other critical minerals that are vital to technology. In fact, the nation is one of the most resource-rich in the world, with an estimated $24 trillion in untapped mineral wealth. Yet, paradoxically, it remains one of the poorest and most volatile countries on the planet. Why is this the case? The answer lies in a history of exploitation, weak governance, and a global economy that prioritizes profits over people. The DRC's mineral wealth, rather than being a source of prosperity, has become a curse, a source of conflict, environmental destruction, and systemic human rights abuses. How can a country so rich in resources also bear the weight of such staggering poverty? Blood minerals, as the term suggests, are minerals extracted in conflict zones and sold to finance armed groups, perpetuating cycles of violence and oppression. The DRC, plagued by decades of instability and conflict, is the epicenter of this crisis. Armed militias, corrupt officials, and multinational corporations all vie for control of the nation's resource wealth. These minerals are smuggled into global supply chains, often through middlemen, and eventually find their way into the products we use every day. Whether it's the smartphone in your pocket or the electric car you drive, chances are its components are tied, in some way, to the suffering of Congolese miners. Cobalt mining in the DRC is divided into two categories: industrial mining, dominated by multinational corporations, and artisanal and small-scale mining, ASM, where individuals and families work with minimal tools and resources. Both sectors are deeply problematic, though the challenges differ in scale and intensity. Industrial mining involves large-scale operations that require vast amounts of land, often displacing entire communities. These projects destroy homes, farmland, and cultural heritage, uprooting people from their way of life. Compensation for displaced communities, if offered, is frequently inadequate, leaving families to face poverty and homelessness. Industrial mining operations also wreak havoc on the environment. Massive open-pit mines release toxic waste into the air, water, and soil, contaminating rivers and groundwater that local communities depend on for drinking, cooking, and farming. The once fertile land becomes barren, exacerbating food insecurity. Deforestation is rampant as mining companies clear vast tracts of the Congo Basin, home to the world's second-largest rainforest, to access mineral deposits. This destruction not only threatens biodiversity, but also contributes to global climate change by releasing stored carbon into the atmosphere. The environmental toll of industrial mining in the DRC is immense, creating ripple effects that extend far beyond the country's borders. Artisanal mining, while smaller in scale, presents equally harrowing conditions. In this sector, miners dig by hand or with rudimentary tools in unregulated pits that are prone to collapse. Accidents are common, and many miners lose their lives to landslides or falling debris. Children as young as 7 years old work in these mines, spending long hours digging and sifting through rocks to extract cobalt. These child laborers are exposed to toxic cobalt dust, which can cause severe respiratory illnesses, skin conditions, and long-term health problems. For their backbreaking labor, they earn just $1 to $2 per day, barely enough to survive. Women working in artisanal mines face additional challenges, including sexual violence and exploitation. Entire families are trapped in cycles of poverty with no access to education or healthcare. The human cost of artisanal mining is heartbreaking, yet it remains a lifeline for millions of Congolese who have no other means of survival. Imagine a 7-year-old child spending their days in a hazardous mine, inhaling toxic dust instead of attending school or playing with friends. Now imagine that child's labor is part of the supply chain for the smartphone or laptop you're using right now. How does that make you feel? The exploitation of the Congo's resources is not a new phenomenon. It's deeply rooted in history. During the colonial era, King Leopold II of Belgium turned the Congo into his personal colony, the so-called Congo Free State. Under his rule, millions of Congolese were enslaved and forced to harvest rubber and ivory. The brutality of Leopold's regime, including mutilations, massacres, and mass starvation, resulted in the deaths of an estimated 10 million people. The global tech industry, which relies heavily on the minerals mined in the DRC, has come under increasing scrutiny for its role in perpetuating these injustices. While some companies have taken steps toward ethical sourcing, the progress has been slow and insufficient. Apple, for example, has pledged to source cobalt directly from regulated suppliers and has invested in community development programs in mining regions. Tesla and other companies have also made commitments to eliminate child labor from their supply chains and ensure ethical practices. However, these initiatives often fail to address the root causes of exploitation. Third-party suppliers and intermediaries frequently obscure the origins of minerals, making it difficult for companies to guarantee that their materials are conflict-free. Blockchain technology has been proposed as a solution to increase supply chain transparency, allowing companies to track the origins of minerals and ensure they are ethically sourced. Yet, this technology is still in its infancy and has not been widely adopted. Meanwhile, loopholes in existing regulations, such as the U.S. Dodd-Frank Act and the European Union's conflict minerals regulation, allow many companies to continue sourcing minerals from conflict zones without facing significant consequences. The lack of enforcement and accountability has limited the effectiveness of these laws. Local activists and civil society organizations in the DRC are fighting for change, advocating for the rights of miners and displaced communities. Groups like Action contre l'impunité pour les droits de l'homme, ACIDH, and the Bureau d'études scientifiques et techniques, BEST, work to expose abuses by mining companies and promote corporate accountability. These organizations also provide education and training programs for artisanal miners, empowering them to demand better working conditions and protect their rights. However, their efforts are often undermined by corruption, lack of resources, and the sheer scale of the challenges they face. So, what can be done to address this crisis? A multifaceted approach is needed, one that involves governments, corporations, consumers, and activists. Stronger regulations must be enacted and enforced to ensure supply chain transparency and accountability. Companies must conduct regular audits of their supply chains and invest in sustainable, community-driven mining practices. Consumers can play a role by supporting ethical brands, recycling old devices, and raising awareness about the issue of blood minerals. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to spread awareness. What do you think about the hidden cost of technology? Let us know in the comments below, and let's keep this conversation alive. Together, we can make a difference.